All right, so starting off, I'm going to be reacting to Mario Reels talking about athletic bodybuilding and giving my honest opinion on it and what I think about it so far. So you've probably seen him around making content on like other fitness influencers in the fitness scene. Honestly, a lot of people don't like him, but you know, that's why I'm gonna watch this video and I'm gonna give my honest opinion on what I think about it. So we'll dive right into it.
If you've been watching my channel for a while now, you'll know that the athletic body is the best by far. And I'm not just saying this. This is based on actual data. Women don't like the bodybuilder body type.
I think the lean slash athletic look on a man is way sexier than the bodybuilder type.
I believe all guys lift weights to improve their lives. And as the old saying goes, the world is nicer to attractive people. So if you want to live a good life, it's important to look attractive, which is why I invented athletic bodybuilding, where you bodybuild to look like an athlete. But let me warn you, there are side effects to athletic bodybuilding. One being you're going to be way more athletic than all your friends. When I do kickboxing, I'm too big for the small guys and too fast for the big guys. You're going to have
Well, honestly, he does make a good point with this because, like, during my training, I got a lot of my training philosophies from him, to be honest, and it comes down to a lot of free weights and not a lot of machines in the exercises. So I noticed that my core is being worked a lot with things like pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, and I've also been able to get real strong on like a lot of compound lifts such as squats, deadlift, and bench, overhead press. My overhead press has improved massively. It's not like elite or anything, but it's definitely improved from when I first started.
obtain the perfect mix of speed, strength, and power. Second, you're gonna get a lot of stares from women. In your normal gym, not that many people actually train to look aesthetic, because what guys in the fitness community deem as athletic isn't what's truly aesthetic in real life. Because C-Bum is not aesthetic in real life. He would be considered excessive. And when you gear your training like an athlete, you're gonna get a lot more attention from women. Because there are biological and universal standards of attractiveness in a men's body, which is that athletic, lean B taper, where we've got a muscular back, broad shoulders, and a narrow waist. With those out of the way, what is the definition of athletic bodybuilding? My definition of athletic bodybuilding is training like a bodybuilder to look like an athlete. So in a literal standpoint, I am a bodybuilder because my main goal is building muscle. But the huge difference between athletic bodybuilding and bodybuilding is that in athletic bodybuilding, you build functional muscle. This is muscle that helps you in real life activity. Because when bodybuilders build muscle, it affects their mobility, stamina, and even their health. What's the point of lifting weights if you're not becoming healthier or more attractive? Bodybuilding.
Over here, I do think he has a fair point as well, because I noticed that over time when I was building muscle, I've gained like over probably nearly 20 kilograms since I first started lifting, and I didn't notice like any real negatives. I didn't get significantly slower or anything like that, and I still play football or soccer like I still do back then. Well, like I did back then, so not much really changed, and yeah, I do think a way of training with free weights does make a lot of sense, especially if it won't affect like your functionality and your day-to-day life.
Principles will allow you to build more muscle, but I doubt it's that much. I started my weightlifting journey at 130 pounds, and now I'm at almost 180 pounds. Of course, when you see my physique compared to all these bodybuilders, I look small. When in fact, in real life, I'm actually bigger than the majority of people. But unlike the bodybuilder body, the athletic body is actually powerful. But in order to build it, we need to be using certain bodybuilding principles. One being training splits and training focus. With an athlete, you only have a certain amount of time where you actually prioritize weightlifting because you're going to prioritize your actual sport. But with athletic bodybuilding, you still want to prioritize weightlifting as your main form of exercise, which is why I do bodybuilding splits. My favorite split by far is the push-pull leg split done 6 days per week, which is a split an athlete would almost never do. And you want to hit each muscle group 2 to 3 times per week. This is how you maximize hypertrophy. If you're a beginner, you do want to hit every muscle just once per week so your body can adapt to the new training stress. But after 2 to 3 months of lifting, you should be hitting every muscle group 2 days per week minimum. I'll almost never hit anything 3 days per week, except if it's a weak muscle or a weak spot of mine. We're also gonna take rep range and proximity to failure like a bodybuilder. The research says that anywhere between 5 and 30 reps can elicit the same amount of muscle growth as long as you're training near failure. But if you look at any muscle building textbook or research, they'll always say 6 to 12 reps is the best for building muscle. This is because the time under tension in that range is optimal for muscle growth. But a lot of people do think that time under tension is overrated, but it's still within that 5 to 30 rep range. So I would say 6 to 12 reps is the best for building muscle. If you're
So At the moment, my training program runs like this. It's like a chest, back, abs day, an arms, shoulder and arms day, a leg day, then chest, back, abs, and shoulder and arms again. I've switched it up slightly, but it's still around like the same thing. And then on my rest days, I go on like jogs and stuff. So my legs get worked pretty well. I think they're pretty strong. I can squat about 300 and deadlift 415. And I also aim for about 8 reps on most exercises, which I think is like a very good spot because you can go like heavy on it, and at the same time, if you increase it to 12 reps, you'd go way lighter, in my opinion. So I like staying around 8. 8 is very good for me. You can build a lot of strength that way. And yeah, hitting muscle groups 2 times per week is what I would suggest after you lifted for a while. When I first started, I used to hit, I think, just upper body twice a week. I ignored leg day, which I wouldn't suggest for anyone. So 2 times a week, really good. You need your muscles to rest for 48 to 72 hours, which is about 2 to 3 days to hit them again. So it's around the sweet spot 2 times, which I agree with what he's saying here.
If you're training under 6 reps, you're prioritizing power and or strength, and over 12 reps, you'll be prioritizing muscular endurance. But rule of thumb, if you're close to failure, you're maximizing muscle growth. At least 3 reps away from failure. Athletes typically don't train that close to failure because of the soreness. Imagine hitting leg day in the morning and then you have a basketball game at night. You're gonna perform way worse and you'll be miserable. You also wanna have rest time similar to a bodybuilder. There are so many different numbers for what rest time is best for each goal. I've learned a certain number and then a research article will say that's not the best. So I combined my analysis of research and what I learned through my education to determine the best rest time for building muscle. I found that for isolation movements, 1 to 2 minutes is best. In isolation movements where you're targeting one specific muscle. Examples would be a lat pull down, a bicep curl, or a chest fly. But for compound movements, you wanna rest between 2 and 3 minutes. Compound movements are multi-joint exercises where you hit multiple muscle groups. Examples being a bench press, squat, or a deadlift. For rep ranges and rest time, you wanna have a variety. Some of my subscribers will send me their workout plans and it's gonna be squat for 15 reps, then lunges for 15 reps, then hip thrust for 15 reps, and they almost never track their rest time. It's important to have variety in your rep ranges and your rest time, but I gave you guys ranges of what to keep it within to make sure you're prioritizing muscle growth and not anything else. And just like a bodybuilder, you wanna prioritize the most aesthetic muscle groups. And what do I mean by prioritize? I mean hit them first and for more volume than an athlete would. The prime example being the mid delt. The mid delt is one of the most important muscles for an aesthetic physique. But do athletes really need to be prioritizing their mid delt? No. The 4 most aesthetic muscle groups are your back, shoulders, abs, and legs. Your back and shoulders give you that width to get you that V taper. And abs, women like abs, let's be honest. If you look at any of these videos, the only girls that say they like a dad bod are either really politically correct or let's be honest, they're not very good looking. But all you need is a flat stomach. If you go get groceries or walk to a store, you're gonna see most guys don't have a flat stomach. So just getting a flat stomach puts you apart from a lot of people. And your legs, because if you don't build your legs, you look stupid. And I found that building big legs give me a lot of confidence because I can wear higher shorts, which kind of puts me apart from a lot of people. And the focus goes more toward my quads and not my calves. And now what do we take from an athlete style of training to build an athletic body? Well, you wanna prioritize athletic movements. When I say this, a lot of people get confused with what I mean. I define athletic movements as either multi-joint compound movements or exercises where you're on your feet. Here are a couple examples of an athletic movement versus a bodybuilding movement to hit the same muscle so you guys don't get confused. An athletic movement for your legs would be a squat, while a bodybuilding movement would be a hack squat. Because the hack squat, you have no stability, it doesn't replicate anything in real life, and you're leaning against a seat. While a squat is an athletic movement where you're stabilizing your own body and you're on your feet. An athletic version of a bicep exercise would be a standing bicep curl, while a bodybuilding one would be a bicep curl machine or just sitting down and hitting your biceps.
Yeah, something else I noticed is like while exercising, standing up actually works your core a lot. So that's why with almost every exercise I do, I try and do it standing. Like shoulder press, I use a barbell, so it's like an overhead press. Even with bicep curls, I only do hammer curls really for biceps and chin up, weighted chin ups. So I usually do hammer curls always standing up. And so everything's done standing up pretty much, apart from like bench or maybe some wrist curls, which I'll do like using a bench. everything else then standing up to work the core.
You want to do this as much as possible. However, to hit certain muscle groups, sometimes you have to lay down or sit down. An example being a bench press. You can't hit your chest
Yeah, like I just
standing
did.
up. You got to lay down on a bench. Another muscle group I do hit a lot like a bodybuilder is my back. Because to have variety to hit your lats, you need to be pulling from up to down, like in a lat pull down. And to do a lat pull down, you have to sit down. Other than those two examples, I pretty much hit everything like an athlete. And that's literally it. You train like a bodybuilder, but with athletic movements. And you'll see your athleticism and your looks and aesthetics improve greatly. There isn't just one way to do athletic bodybuilding. The way I train will be a little bit different than the way you train. Everybody has their own training philosophies. I'm a big fan of the deadlift for athleticism and hypertrophy, but maybe you're not. Maybe you prefer doing pull-ups or barbell rows. With training experience, you're gonna find what training principles work for you. And just because you train a little bit different than me doesn't make me right or you wrong. A lot of you guys can relate to me, which is why you trust my training principles. My training principles has gotten me to where I am today. I was 130 pounds, I was shy, insecure, and had nothing going for my life. But athletic bodybuilding and changing my body changed my life. Here's my video of my story on how I got to where I am today.
All right, so that's the end of the video. And honestly, my honest take on this is, I do think his training philosophies are very good. I think he's very misunderstood from like his short form content. It's probably just a way to like get attention online, honestly. But yeah, the philosophies are good. I would say the lean physique is probably the best on a guy because one, it's actually really aesthetic, like universally, like says in a lot of the short form content and in this video. And two, it's still really capable. You're still going to be pretty strong on a lot of lifts and such. So, and yeah, a lot of freeway exercises. So, you get that functionality and you get the core work and just training often. So that's what I do. Hip. I train like about 5 times per week. I think he's someone you should listen to, especially for a beginner and getting into it. There's no real point in like getting too big or anything like that because, generally no one really cares about your physique that much, even apart from you, even if you're lean and such. So, you know, someone I'd recommend, yeah, as a trainer for sure.